All right. So what are we doing here today, guys? I am working on some stuff in another window, and you guys are welcome to hang out with me. I am going to be doing some stigging and cleaning up of system stuff, and that's just kind of what my weekend's going to be shaping up to because I put some of this stuff off, so I get what I get. And if any of you guys want to hang out and do some Linux or talk about Linux or get down in our Discord and do whatever, that's what we'll be. That's what we'll be doing. Oh, you know what? Why is this thing not? Hold on, I'm having a. It's like certain ones of these won't show up. Hold on. I'll make sure you guys can see all of these. It seemed like some of these weren't showing up. Get rid of this one. No, it looks like okay. Looks like they'll rotate through. I can't move that down. I can't move that. It can be behind things, but it can't be like down. So, all right. So, what I am doing is I'm going to be stigging first a MariaDB server. Some people call that MariaDB. I'm not a. I don't know where that came from. I I always thought it was MariaDB. So maybe if anybody has any insight to that, like I don't. That's not even how you spell Mariah to me. But yeah, see, there's an H in Mariah. I thought, at least in normal. Yeah, that Maria Carey. Yeah. Like I just I've heard it said both ways, and I don't know which one's right. Oh yeah, look, this one it keeps losing. That's super weird. Like if it's covered in any way, all right, I won't cover it completely. How's that? Which you guys can't see as I'm moving these other windows around because I am working again. I'm working in a different window. I'm going to be stigging first a MariaDB instance, which we harden that to a certain level, and then and if you were wondering like, well, where do you get that from? You come here, DISA. Oh, you stop that, and then you said DISA stigs. Right, you go to DISA stigs, and then you go find. There's two things you need really if you're going to stig anything. In the stigs home, right? So you go to like the stigs home, which is right here. That's the downloads. Where's it at? You can. Any of these will take you over there, I think. Here's the viewing tools. Yeah, so here's the Stig Viewer. I use Stig Viewer 2.17, but 2.18 is out. It works perfectly fine. The Stig Viewer 3, most people haven't moved up to that yet, at least the people that I work with in the government. But there's a bunch of different things, and then what you need to do then is go to, it's the download section here. And if you were doing, again, like MariaDB, you would just come here and look for Maria, and then you would get the one that's the most current for the version that you need. So in my case, I'm doing MariaDB 10.x. 10.5 is the current version if anybody cares. And then that's what I'm going to be kind of hardening in this example. There's 110 stigs in here. So you download the package and then you open it into your Stig Viewer or whatever. And I've shown you guys this process before, what it kind of looks like. I actually can show, hold on, I can show the Stig Viewer because we're not, there's no conflicts there, I don't think. I think I have the Stig Viewer. Where's he at? So, whoops. This is what the Stig Viewer kind of looks like right here. It's a little bright, but if you are looking at it, what it shows is, you know, on any individual component of the security guidelines, it'll tell you a little bit about it. MariaDB must limit the number of concurrent sessions, an organization-defined number of users for all accounts and or account types. And then it comes down here and it talks about how you would check that, right? So on my system, I can go in and I can check that, right? So I'm in the system in this other window. I do a MySQL, and then it connects me in, and I can do that command right there and say, is there actually some type of limit to the max user connections, right? And if there's not, right, it says to fix, limit the number of connections allowed by a specific user as appropriate privileges for this, right? So a value of 0 indicates this is a finding. So what I can do then is I can set this, right? And I can set this to, let's just say, grant usage to everyone username host with this, and then give the number of connections. So I'm going to drop that in over on my system, and I'm going to say like the number of connections is, let's say, 5. Usage to, and then username. We'll say for this one will be root at max user connections, number of connections, root at 227.0.0.1. And then we would go check again. Hold on. And it would say 5. And then I can do the same thing for like my accounts, whatever type of accounts that we have, right? I'm going to set that back actually. And then I'm going to show you guys here what we do with the actual system. So what I would do is I would grab the finding details and I would drop all the findings in here, right? So this is the actual findings from my system. I do have them set to 0, and I do have them set there. And then I would come over here and I would say, this is not a all connections are local connections in the system, right? And then I'm going to leave that open for now. So I'll leave that as an open finding. But this is a Cat 3, so Cat 3s are not that big of a deal. But what you do always need to do is have an answer for why something's like it is. So that's fine. Come down here, MariaDB must integrate with an organization level authentication mechanism provided account management stuff, right? So we come down here and we say, okay, how do we check this, right? And it says etsy-pam.d LDAP, and then there's some information in here. So I can go over to my MariaDB and say show plugins and see if there is a, if I don't find a plugin for PAM, then this is an issue. So let's go here and try this command. And it says, okay, here's the findings. If any users are returned on this, then this is a finding. So I am going to set that. I'm going to show that as one of my values here. And say, here's my finding details, right, for my stuff. And then I'll come over here and I'll say, this, all user accounts are local. And then I'm just going to leave this one let's see how we would fix this. I'm going to see if that'll do anything. All right. All user accounts are local, but I'm still going to leave that one open for now, and then we'll come back to that. All right, and this is what we do. And you might say, Scott, that doesn't seem like the most fun thing ever. And I tell you, well, this is what we do in system security. System security is not nearly as fun as everybody thinks it is. It's a tedious long drawn out thing, right? And but then when you're done, you've got systems that are, for the most part, able to handle whatever you need. So I'm going to drop in this command here, and I can see all the users that have administrator, and I'm going to come over here and make sure that they have whatever permissions. And then for each user found, check all the grants. I'd have to go check against each one. And then down here it says check the confirmed authentication settings and make sure that they're supposed to have the abilities to do the thing. And then it says to create this documentation. So I would come in here and say this value right here, and then I would say all users are administrator, are local administrator on system, right? And in that case, this is not a finding as far as that goes. So that's fine. RaidDB must protect against user false repudiation having performed organizational defined actions, meaning a user that we can't prove was the user. That's what false repudiation means, right? And this thing's spinning over here. Hold on. I need to make that thing go back to spinning. All right. So now non-repudiation is to make sure that if any accounts are shared, you don't want shared accounts and all that kind of stuff. But remove shared accounts which are not documented, and all accounts. I'm gonna select this command here, and I'm gonna drop that in my system, and I'm gonna say all accounts are local and correct. So boom, all accounts are local and correct. And I'm actually making, this is the report here that we would then turn into our security, what we call the ISSO, Information System Security Officer, for the system that we're monitoring or tracking or whatever we're doing, right? So, hey Monkey Man, how's it going? Enzo Bear, how's it going? Hopefully I I didn't miss anybody. We're just kind of hanging out. I am not working super hard, kind of like last night, except now I am actually working on systems, and I'm going through the process of hardening a system. I can't show you the output of the commands on the other side, but I can go through and show you guys kind of like what the hardening process looks like for this. Hold on, let me make sure I got this right window here. I'm gonna move this. Wonder how I can move this so you guys can see it better. That's fine. That's fine. Let's move it up a little bit. That's fine. All right. Anyways, MariaDB must provide audit record generation capability. So, come down here a little bit, and I just need to make sure that my server audit is active, which I don't think it is by default on this server. Nope. So, if that's the case, I need to go turn that on in the server. So I'm going to exit. I'm going to cd over to etc my.cnf.d, and then systemctl status MariaDB. And then what I'm going to do is make sure that this is working in here. So Shift G, and then down here I should be able to put this line. Now, for some reason this line has not been working for me on other systems, but I'm still going to drop it in and see if I can't get it to work. Restart MariaDB. Nope, gonna have a problem. Damn it. I don't know why this just does not want to seem to work. So, for some reason, I can't turn this one on, and I'm not quite sure why. I might actually have to go throw that in here. Whoops. God damn it. See what these guys say. So, it's possible what I'm seeing here is that we need to make sure that it's turned on. I'm gonna see if I can't get that going. This said server audit logging on, right? Yeah, okay. We'll give that a shot. Audit logging equals on. Huh. So they're saying set server audit logging doesn't exist. So that's interesting. Interesting thing that they show it in here, but then they don't show it in the other. Huh. That's a strange one. So server audit logging doesn't show up. Let's go check this. Server audit filters doesn't exist. Let's go back over here. Alright, so we're going to turn server audit logging on. Alright, well. That's what it said. Huh. Well, that's strange. Have to leave that one open for now then, I guess. Yeah, I don't know why I just can't get these stupid things to turn on their damn audit. Like, it's like they changed something recently in the way this is literally exactly where I'm putting that, and then it's breaking. Set global. All right, let's try this. Set audit logging on. no, it's... This is literally not in. Oh, hold on a second. Hold on a second. It's possible we just don't have the... We might not have this plug-in. Alright, so we might need to make sure we have the plug-in. So we're going to go make sure that we have this plugin in our system. So it should be server audit.so, server underscore audit.so. And then we got to make sure that it's there. Just seems like this would have been installed with the system. You know, like, I wouldn't think I'd have to go add this separate. Alright, where's that damn name? We're gonna go find it. Go make sure that it's on our system. Alright. Alright. Seems like a lot of changes just to turn on server monitoring. It's a whole lot of stuff just to turn on one fucking thing that should already be on. God. Alright, I'm gonna leave that one for a bit and come back to that because that's bugging me. Gosh, that's annoying. Get rid of that one for now. Alright, I gotta go check to make sure. CD var log MariaDB. And then I can see that that log is there. That might just be too much of a hassle. Alright, skipping all that for now. God. Frustrating. Alright, I'll come back to those ones. Yeah, so that's kind of what I'm working on over here as far as the stigs are going. Def Not Freddy, Ken Ansel, Armor Reaper, or whatever. Yeah. I probably could do some of this stuff automated on future installs. This is like a one-off job I'm doing for... We've got this customer. I probably should... Actually, let's go see. Let's go check. Let's go Ansible. See if there's... Yeah. They'll have a deploy. The deploy is not the hard part. That's pretty simple. It's the stigging everything. Yeah, they don't have anything for that. I would have checked lockdown. Ansible lockdown is typically pretty good, but I don't think they have any of this. I don't think they have anything for specific tools like this. They just have the overall stig for, yeah, they just have the OS level stigs. Yeah, yeah. Apache, Postgres, and Kubernetes, that's kind of nice, but they don't have MariaDB, so I'm kind of stuck doing it by hand, which is fine. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's kind of cool that they got a Cisco iOS one. I might have to dig into that. Here's some old archives, and they do have a Postgres one. They don't have. Nope, 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 nope. Nah, I didn't think they would. There's too many one-offs where you have to be in the actual database for this to. Yeah, and I have a tool to generate, you know, well, there's the other side of it too, where I need to make sure it comes back up too, so I can't make a blanket 110 changes. I gotta kind of do. This is one of these things, because you can't just apply all stigs. You guys know that. If you apply all stigs, it'll break things. So I do have to kind of be a little careful what I'm doing with this, because this is a running system. It's not in production yet, but it's gonna be in production eventually. So I do have to kind of keep an eye on what I do with it. All right. Well, then I'm gonna go. I gotta go clean up some other docs on these systems, so I can hang out and talk with you guys while I'm doing that. Also, it looks like Ranger's doing all right downstairs, so that's always good. If you guys have any questions, I know people have been hanging around. You know, we've got the stuff coming up soon for the Linux Systems Administration course, and people sound pretty excited about that. And there's also going to be a Linux Security Engineering course, and that's going to be good too. Did I try out BSD? Rudy, I'd need to know the context of that. I mean, have I used BSD before? Long ago. But I mean, that's not an option in what I'm doing. I have a very set, specific version of Rail that I'm doing with this customer. That's from them, and then I also have a very set, specific. Well, we built all the rest. They came with, we need this version of this, and we built out all of their Werewolf and Rel infrastructure underneath that. So that was kind of like us working with them. So. Easy Money. Can you upload the videos with the networking stuff so we can see it, like a special name for it? Yeah, Easy Money. If you're on my YouTube channel, right? I only have like 7 videos that are not live. They're like the actual videos, and the one is called Network Primer. That's the one that is on networking stuff, if that's what you're asking me. It's a bit dated, but I mean, like, networking hasn't changed in 40 years, so. I mean, okay, networking has had newer technologies added to it, sure, but I'm saying the structure of it that I was talking about and all that hasn't changed. So, yeah. So, if you're talking about the networking primer type video, that one's on the under just my videos. Everything else is all live stuff, right? Like, I don't really use YouTube as anything other than like a backup for live sessions, you know. So, yeah. So, hopefully that works. All right. Do you have tips on writing in vanilla Vim? Unfortunately, I can't have any Vim RC on the RHCE. Oh, yeah. Def Not Freddy. I do everything in vanilla Vim. I don't do any special Vim RC files for me. Oh, for writing playbooks. Oh, yeah. So the main things that I know a few of the guys that have passed the RHCE recently with the Ansible stuff in it, and what those guys have all told me is they just needed to be kind of ready to reference things. You know, as far as like just be able to do your Ansible dash docs, and then whatever you need to see for your individual module or whatever. And then really, I mean, as far as that goes, you just have to remember the header, how you build a header. In fact, you may even be able to get away with like an Ansible Galaxy. No, that might not pull it down because it's going to be all local. Yeah, you just need to be able to remember the first part of it, yeah. And then the YAML part after will just be remembering that stuff. What's going on over there? Hold on, I gotta go look at my little RetroPie thing. Man, that's an old game. Hold on. That is an old one right there. So I don't know if any of you guys ever played with the RetroPie, but yeah, RetroPie's been such a fun thing. Yeah, no copyrighted games are included, but yeah, this game, any of these games where you go through the maze and you just kill monsters and you up your people's hit points, always fun. Always fun little D&D style, you know, games. Anyway, sorry. I just noticed that, so I thought that was funny. But yeah, the YAML formatting part of it, yeah, I would. I don't know. I don't know what the guys did to make that go better, but for me, it's just I just have to remember the header, like you know, on any of my systems. Hold on, show you here. As long as I can remember. As long as I can start it out correctly with whatever hosts and tasks and then roll, as long as I can get the beginning part of this right, then I'm fine. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's YAML. Probably a YAML linter in there. There's definitely an Ansible lint. I don't know if I have it on my, I don't have Ansible lint because I don't use it, but Ansible lint is a pretty good little tool. I don't know if you guys could have seen that. Yeah, you guys should have been able to see that. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So that's kind of where I would go. Is I would just know your basic formatting, Freddy, or def not Freddy. All right, where was I at? Let me go back to my system here, and I got to start hardening some of these up with my my system. So I'm going to just check these open values here. Got a page for my stigs that I use. I'm editing that. Okay. Gotta go find the stig dates for each of these. 30th of January. Oops. Stig name. And then we got to give the stig score. And this would be Answer that. Ranger check. There's Ranger right there. You guys literally have Ranger on the screen while you're doing a Ranger check. I have to give you those points back. Because you already got Ranger on the screen right there. So you don't really need a Ranger check. Alright. Alright. Yeah, the timing. Ranger was already there. I'm cleaning up this other window here, this other page. And then I'm going to go grab some of our exceptions. Because here's the thing, when you do STIGs, there's things that may be exceptions requested, and like things that aren't needed necessarily. So I'm going to include this in our documentation. STIG. Edit this. I'm going to say HPC STIG exceptions are as follow. So, need to make sure that my stuff is all organized by the open values. Okay. Banners are a requested exception for us. So, because we don't care about banners, we're going to say not a finding. So, 2023, 2034, and go passwords. I gotta think of how I want to do this. It's kind of an annoyance to grab two different things between these. Did I lag out or did you guys lag out? Did you guys all lose me? Hope you guys didn't lose me. Still got network. I think my network's still working, but I could be wrong on that. Let's see. Let's see if I'm back. Okay. I wasn't sure if that was me or you guys saying that I was gone. By the way, we hit 3,600 people in Discord, so that's kind of cool. Our next real goal is like 10,000, but I mean we'll definitely do a nod at like probably 4,000 and 5,000 because that'll be cool to blow by with those numbers. But yeah, we're just kind of hanging out. You guys are watching my screen just do whatever dumb stuff my screen does. I'm over here working on some STIGs, and that's what you kind of hear me talking about is my STIGs and the scores that I have for them and all that kind of stuff. I'm basically using this time to knock out manual checks. There's a lot of automation that we can do, but the automation doesn't check everything. and then we got to go down to the manual checks. Now, the automated checks I've shown you guys how to do. There's actually a lab in Killer Coda where I have you guys do the did I say manual checks? Sorry, the automated checks in like Ubuntu system, right? So we can go check Ubuntu and make sure that it is hardened to whatever system. I think out of the gate, the system that they're using is like 14% stigged. It's not very good for like hardening, but that's pretty good for just like, I mean, the usability of a system. That's fine, but that's like no security involved. Once we start getting security involved, we get a higher number, but less and less things work, right? So we got to do. This is why I tell you guys it's a trade-off. We know how to go run 100% stig on operating systems. That's not even hard to do. It's just it won't be functional for anybody. So you have to be able to back that stuff off. When I say functional for anybody, I mean like third-party applications and tools and being able to get users in there and have users do stuff. It's just too locked down for anything to work. So, that kind of stuff. So there we go. All right. Yeah, I'm just cleaning up a bunch of manual checks on these systems. I do kind of want to switch around the way that I have this set up, though. File, save that. Oh, shit. Lost the connection because I hadn't used it in long enough. That is one of the bad things about this system. It times me out. And then I need to remember the password, which is, can't remember the password. All right, back. Mizushi is worried about hardening worthwhile for the average. I would say for the average user, probably just like a base level of security is important. I wouldn't tell you to go to like a government STIG standard, but I do tell you guys look at the standards for things that are good practices, but don't worry about getting like a 90% score. A 90% score is pretty high and lofty. But there are tools that'll help you get there. Like I use the OpenSCAP tools, and I also use the SCC scanner tool. And then I tried using that Ansible lockdown. So this tool that's kind of showing up here. Hold on, where's he at? This tool right here. Where's he at for lockdown? This is a good tool, but my use case didn't allow this to work the way I wanted it to. And you say, well, what do you mean? Well, the remediation portion of this is designed to run against a live system. Well, most of them are, but the OS scanner. So from OpenSCAP, the OS scanner, I was more easily able to modify to work inside of my containerized environment. So just these are excellent, and they are, people are working on them, and they're good. You can get similar stuff to this out of satellite if you're paying for satellite with the company, Red Hat Satellite. You can get similar stuff to this for your RHEL boxes. They have Ansible playbooks that'll remediate stuff for you. But you got to remember, like, automated remediation is great until it locks something down so hard that it kills everything. Like, look, so let me use an example real quick. Does everybody here remember the very first Resident Evil movie? The very first Resident Evil movie. Most of you probably weren't even around yet, but the very first one, the house has a security system, and that security system goes into lockdown, and it starts killing people. And you say, it starts killing people? Yeah, like the elevator, like chops somebody's head off, like the fucking system like melts people that try to go shut it down. Like, but it's a security system that is locking down as hard as it can. It actually is like an AI that goes intelligent, but that's neither here nor there. But it's trying to keep the T virus from escaping in the original Resident Evil, right? This is like stuff that happens right at the beginning, so I'm not spoiling anything. Go watch it if you haven't seen it. It's a pretty dark movie, but the point is, yeah, we can do these things and just go like full lockdown on these things, and then what'll happen is nobody will be able to live. Yeah. Yeah, Rizushi, you weren't even alive back then. Yeah, I played the original Resident Evil when I was a kid, like the original game. I remember playing that on PlayStation, the first PlayStation, when I was a kid. So yeah, I was around for that. In fact, that one was interesting because you could play as the guy or the girl, and the story changed whether you were one or the other. So that was kind of an interesting thing. All right, anyways, I'm gonna leave that up. We'll let that keep spinning. But yeah, the locking something down to a point where nobody's able to use it is also its own little problem, you know. All right, anyway, so I'm over here. I'm hardening my systems. I'm going to keep working on this. Actually, I might pull all my Stig exceptions over to my other window, just so I have it. Lots of interesting things here. All right. Yeah, Rizushi, if you weren't even born when the movie came out, that's much later. The I think the game came out in the 90s, and I want to say the first movie probably came out in the early 2000s. So, yeah. Dark. Dark movie series. But pretty fun though. I mean, pretty fun, especially if you lived the games, right? All right. We do have exception for FIPS on internal compute nodes, and also for anything grub. So I'm gonna leave that open, and then all right. So so one of the things I'm doing here. So we're gonna try to skip that one. Not a finding. All right. FIPS not required on internal nodes. So I gotta find my FIPS section. All right. So that's not a finding. All right. So what I'm doing now is cleaning up. Oh wow, yeah. Yeah, Rizushi, if you were born after 2004, I was already back from war. I went to Iraq. I turned 22 in Iraq in 03. So, yeah. And then I chose to get out of the infantry. No more of that infantry stuff. No more of that for me. All right. So yeah, I'm just gonna keep knocking these out. My current Stig scores in my system, it's actually kind of annoying. I've got a 67 on one system, and I've got a 60. I got a 35.42 on the other, but that's super annoying because we're trying to get to 90. And you say, well, that sounds really low compared to 90. Yeah, but when I first ran my SCC scanners, I had a 92 and an 87. And that's kind of annoying. So if you guys run your Stig scanners and then you get really high scores and then you pull them out into the manual checks and you're like, oh, I just got a few manual checks. and then you find out, oh no, this thing didn't check anything, but it was giving me an inaccurate score. That's one of the problems with automation in the security space is it can give you so much like white noise and what we call false positives, right? Um, what are they? I think false positives are type 2 errors, but I could be wrong. Somebody here probably knows. There's a table for them, right, for false positives. If you've never seen it, here, I'll show it to you. Hold on. Whoops. Did not mean to do that. Types of error tables. There's type 1 and type 2 errors, right? So, yeah, type 2 is false negative. Type 1 error, false positive. There you go. So that was my bad. Yeah, if you guys have never seen those before, they're good to know, and they're good to understand if you're doing, especially like AI type stuff where you don't get to see the process happening. Yeah, type 1s are your false positives and type 2s are your false negatives. Both are problems, right? Anyways, all right. Set that back to spinning. Get that out of the way. Did not mean to do that. All right. I'm going to get back over here fixing my stuff. So yeah, if you guys have questions, let me know. Or if we're talking about something, let me know. All right. Not a finding. Exception. Forfeits. So, I've got a list of... Let me show you guys this real quick. I think I can... finding. I think I can show you guys this. So, I've got a list of these exceptions. I can show you these with no problem. Let me just... vi temp some file. These are like a list of exceptions that I have in my system. Make that a little wider so it looks a little better. Okay, so this is again not like any conflict to show you guys this kind of stuff, but inside of a high performance compute type system, there are things that you may or may not be able to do around like your standard definitions. They're on the top right there. And what happens is, so you know, this is my home lab, and let's say I was trying to, this is one that's huge right here. Like this one will get you dinged on so many of your STIG scores because you need to have a different var home temp, var cache, var log. Those all need to be on their own permission, on their own thing, and you're going to get a ding for each one of those. Then you need to have them all have no exec, no, no exec, no suid, no, what's some other ones? There's a whole bunch of crap, though. And the point is, but when you're using an ephemeral file system in a stateless node, you don't give a damn about any of that. So there's like 80 STIGs that you immediately fail if you don't have separate file systems. And you say, well, don't you need them? Well, yeah, like you need them on a stateful node, a node that's going to exist through reboots. It's the same thing with like Audit D. Audit D is a great system. It functions a lot like how Tripwire used to work. where it takes a scan of everything that's there and looks for differences. But here's the thing, it's got to instantiate every time the system comes up, and then when you reboot it, it checks again. Well, that doesn't work on a stateless node. So like we immediately need to throw all that away. No clue how relatable is, but is there a career in system engineering admin anywhere for younger people? Rizushi, I think people can get into this when they're younger, sure. I have zero clue. I'm just completely missing a whole section of the population, but I do not see anything about systems engineering anywhere. Yeah, so Rizushi, you tend to fall into systems engineering roles eventually from being like sysadmin, I think. So like you start out, a lot of times you start out as a systems administrator. You're keeping the ships running. Systems administrators keep the fleet of servers going forward in an operational sense. And then after some amount of time of doing that, people are like, hey, you keep them running, can you start building them? And then you start to build them, and then you realize, hey, this is easier if I start to apply some of these best practices from engineering, and next thing you know, you're a systems engineer. You can also go through college, and you can also go do all these other things, but I think you can do it without all that, right? Excuse me. So anyways, this is what we're doing here. I'm gonna add this into my little thing that's running, and I'm gonna say something like this. I'm gonna say cat temp some file, and then sleep 10 or something like that. So now this will go do a bunch of checks. It'll cat that file out so people can see what I'm talking about, and then it'll go back to doing whatever else it's doing. But yeah, Rizushi, what I would tell you is look for stuff if you're kind of younger and starting out. Look for stuff in your area. Good places to fall into this type of work, like tech work for sure. Around most people are like school districts. School districts need techs, even if it's just moving around computers and even if it's just like starting out type stuff. But then eventually you're gonna move up, hopefully, into some of these other roles. You're gonna move out. I mean, when I first got out of the Army, I went to the school district here locally and started working over there. It's the same place I met my wife, same place I kind of learned a lot of basic stuff, especially around working with users and stuff. And then as I kept kind of going into the systems world and got into the Linux side of things, I found, oh yeah, with Linux I don't have to deal with anybody else ever. So this is actually one of the nice things about Linux is you very rarely have to deal with other people that aren't at least somewhat technical. Good to know. I'm going to be completely bricked. Yeah. I'd just tell you, start doing something, right? Start getting something together. I've showed you guys before. We got our systems administration course that can help you get started. And then for people that feel like they know the administration side of things, we're also going to have a systems engineering course. But the systems engineering course around security, I'm going to try to emphasize this for everybody. That is not going to be an easy course. That is not going to, that's not going to coddle people. That's not going to hold hands, and it's not going to go slow. It's going to just go. And I'm not saying that to scare anybody. I'm just saying, there's a point where we have to, take the kid gloves off and start playing for real, So that's part of that. So hopefully that part of it's at least understood. All right, let me keep going on my stigs. You guys let me know if you have questions. What's my next stig that I'm going to work on? Kernel profiling by other users. So I actually have, it's funny, I have a bunch of these values set. This is, so cat, I'm going to go cat etsy ctl.d. Oh, what the hell is going on there? Yeah, I have all this in here. Okay. All right. So I need to check that my kernel perf is set to 2. All right. So I'm going to go through. So one of the things you end up doing on these is paste as set status to not a finding. All right. What you find yourself doing in some of these is going and kind of manually checking your things, because apparently, like in this one test, let me pull up this test real quick to show you guys. Let me turn on my Stig viewer for a second. So in the Stig viewer, over here, there's a check, and it says you got to make sure that this value is set to 2. Shows it right here. And there's all these settings, and then it finds a false test here, so it sets the value to false. But I can say it's correctly set to 2 because I went and validated it on the machine that it's validated and set to 2. So then I can call that a not a finding and say correctly set to 2. The check is a false positive, right? Positive. So I can validate that right there, right? So that's kind of one of these things that you sometimes, this is, and again, Stigs have to kind of be looked at by a person, because look at all these open and all these not, these are all the things that I have to go check. Everything from there to up here are either false positives, or I have to answer them in some way to get this kind of to open up the way that I want. Hey, Alpha Victor Charlie, hopefully this stuff's useful to you. We are working on Stigs right now, which is not super fun. I am co-working, so you guys don't see me right now. I'm working on other stuff on a different screen, but I'm just hanging out to let you guys know that there is a Linux group out there where people will help you get into this space if you want to try to be a professional in this space. That's my goal. That's what I try to, come on here and talk to you guys about and tell you, we've got a Discord where people hang out. We got about 3,600 people in the Discord now, a little over 3,600. I'll link it over on YouTube as well for you guys. And like the goal is to get people down there where they can talk and hang out and whatever. It's free. There's nothing around here. There's only one thing around here that anybody can pay for, and I think you have to find that. Everything else is free. There's a book on LeanPub, but that I tell people, don't even buy the book unless you've went through all the labs already. Do all the labs for free on Killer Coda, and then if you want the book, go get the book. But the book is not something I often push. It just shows up as a little chat message for people. So you guys are welcome to hang out and ask me questions or whatever, again, while I'm working in this other window on Linux stuff. So let's see, PKI requirement is, so we're not using a common access card, what they call CAC cards. And it's funny, this thing won't say it because it thinks I'm saying a bad word, but it's CAC, common access cards in the military, right? So I am going to go to my standard exception for common access cards. We're not using them, so I get to skip that as far as that part goes. No two-factor off, and then I can close that as not a finding, right? So now I'm going to go check kernel randomize. VA spaces 2, so I can say that that is good. This is correctly set to 2. And then I can say that that's not a finding as well. Boom, not a finding. So I'm getting my score slowly up. I'm at 37% now. Earlier I was telling you guys I was at 34. Alpha Victor Charlie, how long am I going to stream for? I've got another, I'll probably be on here for another hour and a half just kind of hanging out. But then I've got 2 different college classes to run. You might say, some of you guys might say, oh, it's Saturday college classes. Yeah, well, Saturday is when I have my, what we call huddle sessions with my college students. So if any of my college students want to come and have me give them additional help, it's kind of like my office hours. as a college professor. So for people that don't know me, I've been around systems engineering for about 22 years. I've been teaching it for 16 years at the college level. Everything from networking to systems engineering to security engineering to everything in the Linux space. That's what I do, right? I'm a nerd, so um, that's what we're doing around here today, and I'll probably get off here in the next hour or so. But the nice thing, that's why I tell you guys about the Discord. Discord's always there. You could ask questions, and different engineers will hopefully help you out with stuff even when I'm not around. Because again, I'm not always around. Sometimes I'm doing other stuff. We're not using SE Linux. Hold on. So SE status is disabled in our system. So I'm going to turn off SE Linux is disabled in our. So in some systems, we're allowed to do no SE Linux. So I'm going to make that not a finding. SE Linux is disabled. Grep-i strict from etc sshd underscore config, and strict mode is yes. So strict mode is set correctly. Strict mode is set correctly. Not a finding. I'm up to 37.6 now. Every time I get to close out one of those Cat 5 or Cat 1s, it really goes up. Alpha said, is GNS3 good? I installed a few days ago with my computer on Ubuntu 24.04. Kind of spins up fans when I launch it. Yeah, so GNS3 is good for, it's a good tool for people who want to get into the network engineering field. Let me see if I can find, where's that? Yeah, so GNS3 is great for that. For people that haven't used this tool, or if you don't want to be a network engineer, you don't need it, right? Like GNS3 is probably further than anybody needs to go. I'm constantly telling you guys there's this IBM Red book that is great for people that want to go and read about getting into if you want to get into like deep network engineering, there's some good stuff after about page 170. But I'm always telling my network guy, or my network guys, my Linux guys around here, that if you want to get good at networking from a systems perspective, you should read this book up until page. Hold on, I'll tell you what page. Look at this page. It's a 1,000-page book. But for the systems engineering side of things, for people that don't want to be all that down in the weeds, you really only need to go to about page 170 right here. If you start getting into routing protocols, you've gone farther than I think most Linux people need. So this book, and this book pops up every now and then, for pages like 100, like 1 to 170, I'd say. And I actually post questions about this sometimes up in our Discord. I'll tell you, go read a certain section of this book, and then give me a little information on what you think you need, or what what you understand about it or whatever. So, all right. Let me get that out of the way. Go back over here to my checks. All right. This one said known host. So I'm going to look at least one. I'm going to look for ignore. Yes. So we're going to say this is correctly set. Boom, not a finding. Okay. And then what are we looking for in this next one? Kerberos. All right, so Kerberos is commented out on the system. I don't have an exception for it, so I can't get around that. I'm just going to leave this one open for now then. All right. So I do have an exception for this next part. So I'll pull this back up. You guys can see this. This is not that big of a deal, I think, for you guys to see. Let me turn my Stig viewer back on. So this next one is where I start to get into, again, I'm on these nodes that have, they're stateless nodes. So the check is to grep for var in etcfs tab, and you should see var in etcfs tab, and in this case it should have no dev, right? You can't have dev running, but it says here if you don't have a separate entry for, if you don't have a separate entry for this, then this is a finding. Well, but we have an exception for this, and the exception is that we're using stateless nodes. So my exception is right here. I'm going to grab this. I'm going to dump it down here in the comments. And this is the only one that actually matters for this. So, boom. Oops. Boom. Here, right? No separate file systems for any of this. And then I'm going to copy this because I'm going to need this here in the future for a few more of these. And I'm going to right click and say this is not a finding. Same thing, var log. We don't have var log separate. So I'm going to close that out. And every time I do this, you'll see right here, my Stig score is going to keep going higher. It's 38.41 right now, if you see where my hand is. So right then I'm going to come down here and say, okay, we don't need var log. Next one is you need to have var log audit. We don't have separate file systems, so not a finding. Temp is not going to be separate in this system. Not a finding. Don't let users directly log in as root. This is a different problem, or this is a different thing. So I'm going to come down here and say, so we do allow root because of, because of this exception. So let me go find this exception real quick, which is permit direct root logins in the cluster. And cluster management with different tools does sometimes require this. So because we have that Stig exception for high performance compute environments, we can go ahead and say that's not a finding, right? And then now I'm back here, and this one is totally different. So this one says sysctl kernel core dump pattern, right? So I have a couple of ways that I can check that. Kernel.core. And I have an exception for this as well, and here's why I have an exception for this, is because core dumps also don't make sense on a system that is a what's it called? Any of the stateless nodes. It doesn't make sense to do a core dump because the system will come up clean every time. So even if you core dumped, you wouldn't have the record, right? So let me see if I can find that. I'm pretty sure I have an exception for that. If I don't have an exception for that, then I'll just leave this open for now. I'll come back and fix it later. It's a cat 2, so you can kind of get around cat 2s. But yeah, I don't have, so this is right here. Check that configurations are there. And I have some values there, except I don't do, like my systems won't do core dumps. Core pattern. Well, you know what, actually. This is technically correctly set anyway, so I'm just going to say value is correctly set. Right, value is correctly set in the system. That's fine. Boom. Not a finding. All right, DNS. We must run DNS. This one gets you a lot because if your etcresolve.conf is empty, then you're not going to get this. But see, I have an exception for this one, and my exception is actually this. My exception for this is DNS resolution is controlled by werewolf in this cluster. And werewolf is spelled for them WAREWULF. So, Alpha Victor Charlie, I have not seen Stratoshark, but just so you know, Twitch blocks any kind of links. So what I always ask is if you have a link that you want me to be my risky click of the day, you got to drop it in Discord and let me know, and then I'll go check it out. Like, just drop it in like general in Discord if you're in Discord, and then I can grab it out of there. That's typically what I do for people. Like, if you want me to see a link, I'll pull it up. DNS controlled by werewolf in this cluster. This can be changed after acceptance. That's typically what I say, because then people accept them and then they can go change whatever they want. All right. This one says permit user environment no. So I'm going to go grep permit. So that's correctly set in my system. This is correctly set in the system. Boom. Not a finding. Now, Pam Faillock. So Faillock is its own little buddy. Let me see if I think I have an exception for Faillock, because that is a real hassle. But, I mean, you know, it just depends. I don't have Faillock. So, let's go look at my actual checksar. So, I'm going to search for, in Etsy pam.d, whoops, pam.d, I'm going to look for grep-i fail lock from everything, and I'm going to see if I have that required. And where does it say it needs to be required? Let's look what the actual check says up here. In password auth, you need to have pam_faillock. Auth required, under auth required. Yep, I do have that. So, after 3 unsuccessful attempts. Okay, so I do have that. So I can say this is correctly set. Now, if you're ever wondering, so what happens is the finding details right here. You guys should see my mouse waving around there. Hold on, let me get this out of the way. My finding details are where you put the actual things that you found. And then down here in the comments say this is correctly set in the system. So when I searched for it, it did find it down here. Those values are correctly set. So then I can click this and say not a finding. And then that doesn't count. Now I'm at a 40. I'm trying to get my score up to 90, so I got to clear all these off, right? And then this one says relay lockouts must persist. And then it says my test was false because my fail lock, it says that I didn't find in Etsy security fail lock this value, right? So I can come down here and say, so I can just run this exact command right here. And if we have that, if the dir is set or it is missing or commented out, this is finding. But I have it, and I have it not commented out. So I can say this is correctly set. Boom. And you might say, Scott, you're going a little fast. Well, I got hundreds of these to do today, so that's why it looks like I'm going a little fast. Because I just don't want to sit here and do these all day. But with the hanging out with you guys, it's not so bad. Let's go look for another from Faillock. And we got a grep for silent. We don't need the sudo because we're already root, right? We respect ourselves. We're already root. And here is the value, so this is correctly set. It found a commented one, but this is correctly set. It found a commented out one, and that's what part of the problem was. So we're going to say not a finding. All right, boom. And then there's another one. And we're going to look for audit out of there. Boom. So I'm going, and it's the same thing. There's a commented one, but there's also the real one. This is correctly set. So these are giving us false positives because they're finding a commented out one, and that breaks their check. But there's also a real one, meaning the check should not be broken. Does that make sense? So, boom. Not a finding. All the way up to 41.41 now, or 14 now. So we're getting there, guys. We're getting there slowly. Wait, what are you asking? Sorry, over here. So I did a few lessons on Killer Coda, Hey Hat Tanis, but there's one thing I don't understand. There are 11 Let's Do Linux labs at first, but I think 3 labs now asking me to start from the beginning. So I take it I have to do all 11. Yeah, Alpha Victor Charlie, I'm not sure what marks those as complete. I don't know how Killer Coda does that. But I can just tell you, is there a progress tracker or some kind of completion map? Well, there is in the book, but that's a separate thing. Inside of Killer Coda, I don't know what makes them checked off as completed. I literally, like, I have some that I wrote that still don't say completed for me. So like I literally don't know how they've done that. Alpha Victor Charlie. What I would tell you is just, yeah, maybe just keep tally, like keep track for yourself. There's a list if you go in our Discord, there is a list of them. I'd have to go find it, but it's in the Killer Coda Labs when I was first making it. Yeah. It's one of those things where I don't even know how they do that. Like I don't run Killer Coda. Some of you guys know I just build labs out there because it's fun, and it's a good way to get you guys in the exact same system as me. So that's kind of why I do that, like I do. Um, but yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on that. All right, I got to go look at this value real quick. Out of, we don't need sudo. We can just awk. I'm going to awk this value out of Etsy Shadow, and root does not have a minimum password age of 0 or blank, but we do. So they want to have a 1-day minimum password change. This is a true false or a true failure for us. So we're going to skip that one for now, and I'll come back to it. This one is going to be very similar. We're going to look for Etsy Shadow, and we can't have any passwords greater than 60, so this is a true failure in our system as well. So I'm going to skip that for now as well. I might have to come back to those. Alpha Victor Charlie asks, is there a regular time that I stream? No. I normally stream Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. And then Sundays I do labs most of the morning. But Saturdays are not a normal day for me. It's just that I wanted to get a little more time in kind of hanging out with people and letting people know about it. But yeah, I'm always around kind of. Saturdays are also really big down in our Discord as far as the guys all meet up. When I say the guys, I mean, all the engineers that have been around for a while, and they're a pretty welcoming group. There's some pretty cool stuff going on this weekend for sure. I run some of the stuff, and other guys run other stuff. I've been like trying to convince people for the last like 10 plus years of our group that this is not the Scott show. This is the, you guys show, and I'm just kind of the guy that tells people about it. So, yeah. Anyways, there's all that kind of stuff. Complete over the wire bandit. Nice. All right. Let me keep going on this. What's this next one? It says that we got to check for last log in. Let's see. So we're going to run this command. Print last log, yes. Yeah, that's correct. Boom. This is correctly set. Boom. Done. Not a finding. Go to the next. All right. You got to look for the audit rules. And here's the thing. Our audit thing's going to be busted in general. But, okay, exec priv, set UID, set GUID. I mean, not really worried about audit D because I have an exception for audit D, I'm pretty sure. So let me go see. No, maybe I don't yet. All right, I'm going to skip that one for now. Plus, it's Cat 2, so Cat 2s are a little easier to get around. This one says that we need to have audit. Oh, so audit D doesn't work correctly. Skip that one for now too. All right. Oh, audit D stuff. Well, let's go look. We'll just look to see if these are there. What's this one? Disk error action is good. Hold on, so I'm going to go down back to this one. They want it to say it is syslog, so this is correct. This is a valid pass. All right, boom. There we go. All right. Now this one wants us to do the same thing, but it wants us to search for this grep mail action. So I'm going to do that, and the account is root. Keyword is not set to root or others, so we're good on this one. So we're going to come down here. This is a pass. Boom. Not a finding. Boom. All right. If we're going to have to keep looking for stuff, disk, if the action is full, then it goes to syslog. So it is correct action. This is a pass. Boom. That's not a finding. I'm also going to save this just for now, just so I know I have it saved. And then what's our next one? All right, we already did that one. We're down here. Now we got to grep local events audit. And local events is yes. And there we go. Boom. This is a pass. All right. Same thing. We got to look for name format. And we got host name, so that's right. This is a pass. Boom. And you might say, well, why did some of these fail? Well, some of these might have failed because it found other values in there as well. But as long as the correct one is the one that's set, so in this one we're looking for the word enriched, then it's a pass. So this is one of the things I dislike about the SCC tool. This is a pass. Is sometimes it just gives you open even though, because it's checking other things than what are actually required. So we already did that one. Hold on. So now we're on 96. We're going to look for the word log file in there. And it's supposed to go to var log audit dlog. And that's correct. I can validate. And by the way, so finding details are where I show that it's correct. This is a pass. And then this is how I show that my system's passed. Now, by the way, we're already up to 43.32, so we're trying to get to 90, right? And then we're slowly moving this up to the correct value. 86, this one we did earlier. Yep. So 97, what's 97? We should see log in there. I thought I just did this one. All right. And it's the same one I just did. I don't know. All right. This is a pass. Boom. Not a finding. 98. I swear I just did this one. Not found. Well, their check is obviously busted because when I do this check, I get that value. This pass. Oh, hold on, wait, they want me to do this part. It is only owned by the right file as well, or the right owner, so we can say not a finding. Boom. Okay. And then down here it says, so it's got that var log file. Oh, and then they want the same thing again. Well, they want to know that the directory is now owned by the right group. If that's owned by root, then it's not a finding. This is not. So this is a pass. A pass. Oh, not a finding. All right. Most important thing is that your finding details are accurate to when somebody else goes and scans it later, because then they can go check the same thing. There's this right here, and then it's following command is owned by the group root. So we know he's owned by the group root. We have it right here. This is, again, I don't know why their check is busted, but their check is definitely busted because we're going to the system and seeing the actual value. So we're going to do the same stat value now against this file. And stat is going to give us the right output, right, of 700. This is a pass. Again, the automated check that I did obviously has poor logic in it because it's telling us exactly what the values are supposed to be here, right? And then when they don't come out the way that we expect, it's giving us an error, but this is the value that we expect it to be. So then I come down here and I'm just putting at the end of the check, this is a pass, with my evidence right there. So finding details are your evidence, comments are whatever you want to say. You can say whatever comments you want, but in my case, I'm just saying it's a pass because it is. So we're going to grep immutable, make sure immutable is there. It is. Again, why it finds it as a false, the world will never know. This is a pass. Period. Right click, set, not a finding. We're all the way up to 45%, guys. We're getting there. I know, I'm probably more excited about that than you guys are, but I'm also the one who's on the hook to get the system hardened, which I did harden it, but now I just got to prove that I've hardened it. All right, I'm going to grab this line, run this, and we should see WA-K identity, and then we've actually got more on this line than is required, and the reason is because there's also this other part. So this is a pass. Watch. This is, right? Boom. Not a finding. Boom. All right. Next one says it's got to be that same thing, and it's got to have this audit rules K. I don't have an identity on this one. I'm going to skip that one for now. I'm going to skip this one for now. We might have to come back to those later. All these audit rule ones, I might skip for now. Yeah, we'll skip all those ones for now. All these audit policy ones, because I might have to come back and look at our package. All right, so now I need to check yum list. Do we have audit on there? And this one says it doesn't see it, but it is there. Audit is installed. Right, so audit is there. Or audit, yeah, audit. Yep, oh, not a finding. All right, so now, gotta look for this out of the audit rules. interesting. We're gonna skip these for now. All these audit ones we're gonna skip for now. Skip it, because I got to go figure out why. I might have to change some things, but I hope I don't have to. But I might have to. No, we're gonna skip all those for now. Also, again, audit D, I probably can skip for. I think I have an exception for them. I just gotta go find and make sure I have the right exceptions. All right, pass WD command. Skip that for now. Skip that. A lot of audit stuff. Audit. Audit. Skip all these. These audit what happens when people do things with commands, and we can SE manage. You know, people are trying to look at stuff, set files. I'm skipping all these for now. I'll come back to these. Yeah, if people are checking passwords. It's all audit records. I'm gonna have a lot of fun with all that. All right, keep going. Audit records. Audit. A lot of audit bullshit. Huh. All right. Let's go make sure that audit rules can only be read by the people that should be able to read it, if there are any. And yep, this is nothing in there is writable by anybody that's not root, so that is a pass. All right. Aid, I do have an exception for aid. I don't need file integrity checking, so I'm gonna drop this in here for now, and then pull all of this off. No file integrity checking for now, because again, it doesn't work right. Got to make sure that we have our syslog. And do we have our syslog? Yes. Sys. It's a pass. Boom. Not a finding. Now, if it's set up or not right, that's different, but that's also something that other people... sometimes they set that up after the system has been accepted. Oops. Control V, paste. This is a pass. Boom. Not a finding. All right. So this one wants us to look at our syslog for X509 stuff and make sure that we're supporting X509, which is certificates between the systems. But here's the thing. We're not in this environment doing PKI. Whoops. So I'm going to say in our environment, we're not using PKI. At least now. At least for now. So I'm going to set that as not a finding, right? This one's looking for space left over. Space left is set at 25. So this is a pass. That's a correctly set value in the system. Not a finding. Got to make sure. We're not running NTP outside of this system. So what this is looking for is Rel 8 needs to have NTP server set up somewhere. How's it going, Johnny, man? We're not working too hard today. I'm doing some stigs and kind of just talking to you guys through some of the stuff I'm doing. Look at all that. I got to check all the way down to here on this box, all the way down to this NR. This is a lot, and the goal is to get these cleaned up enough that I have a 90 on my score, or close to 90 with whatever exceptions that I accept or get accepted. Nice. Anyways, my wife's she was gonna bring a God, my wife. She went to a game right now for a soccer game for one of our nieces. We have like 20 something nieces and nephews. I don't want to try to count them up in my head right now, but we got a bunch of them. And she went to a soccer game for one of our nieces right now, and she asked her sister, "Hey, should I bring like a chair?" And her sister's like, "No, I got a chair in the car." And apparently my wife also wanted a little sunshade, which she forgot. So she's like, "I just bought a sunshade and chair for like $87." And I was like, "Could you have just brought one?" I was like, "From your sister?" Anyways, it's kind of funny. No, she bought them on. She oh, I don't know. I don't even know what I'm talking about. Wait, hold on. Alpha, you said I added a post on how to enable SSL on LAN for DNS. Oh, one. If someone wants to check it for errata, I posted it in the Home Lab channel Discord. Nice. Yeah, I'm sure somebody will look at it. Also, where in Discord should I post a link that I want you to look at? Just post it in general and then let me know. Typically, end up having to drop during Linux course, but did you end up finishing your doctorates and that's what you're working on? Yeah, T-Craze. I'm still working on my doctorate. I'm starting back up in May on that, and I should be finished with it at the end of 2026. My doctorate I was doing a DBA in business analytics, or well, it was a DBA with a focus in so that's doctorate of business administration with a focus in quantitative analytics. But I've now changed over. I'm going to be doing a PhD in systems engineering. So look, it's all doctorates. It's all just checking a box for my colleges at the end of the day, right? Like I don't really care about degrees that much, but I do care about the process of getting better, which is what I think the degrees kind of force you to do. So yeah, T-Craze. Hopefully that answers that. But we are restarting the systems administration course for people that want to do that. Hold on, let me go look at this thing. This will be my risky click of the day right here. Oh, it's from Wireshark. Okay. No, I have not played with this, but I'm telling you right now, Falco is such a good tool. If you guys haven't used Falco, that's pretty cool. Hold on, wait, I want to go see this. Yeah, I have not played with StratoShark, but SysDig, obviously they're the guys that did Wireshark, right? And then, well, it was Ethereal back in the day. And then Falco. And I met the creator of this. He came and talked to a Kubernetes group out here in Phoenix. They have a big Phoenix presence, these guys do. So, Falco, libscap, CloudTrail, yeah, you throw all your stuff off there. This is, man, I'd have to imagine StratoShark's pretty good then. I haven't played with it, though. By the way, guys, also, they have a really good... So if you're down in Falco, they have a really good academy that you can go work in as well. So they have an academy that will walk you through a lot of stuff for free. Oh yeah, look at this. Things that they found. Yeah, related tools from Falco. If you're ever in Falco, they've just got a really good, again, free... Where's their training at? Hold on, let me stop this thing from spinning. This is all busted. I think their page is all busted, because it just put a little roller scroller up here. Anyways, all right. Let me get rid of those because it's just kind of a lot of white. You know, people will leave because there's too much white on the screen. They won't be able to see. So, yeah, that seems interesting. Angular, what do I think about Cube OS for security? I don't even know that I've messed with that. I know I haven't messed with it, rather, but... Reasonably secure operating system. So, I'll give you my standard... Let's look at it real quick. But I'll give you my standard Linux answer here in a second. Let's go look at our system requirements. It's got to have that. Fine. Fine. That's fine. So here's my standard answer. This is probably a perfectly fine OS to play with. It's probably a fine OS to run in a home lab and test and develop on. I don't see anything like, I mean, it looks fine, right? It's probably got some cool security features. But then I'm gonna give you my standard answer for Linux stuff, right? This is probably fine to do. Maybe one day this will move over and it'll be something that's in the industry and out in the enterprise. But what I always tell you guys is if you want to go do enterprise Linux for a company, you're not going to, like, this won't get you there, unfortunately. It'll probably get you a lot of good security topics and stuff to talk about, but people want you to have Red Hat, Ubuntu, SUSE, like these types of like common Linux that are out there in your background. So where I'm going with that is, this is fun to play with. It's probably a great tool. I don't know because I haven't been in it, but most people will benefit more if you're not in the industry spending time with Red Hat or spending time with like CentOS or Rocky. Real CentOS is dead, but Rocky is probably the best place to spend your time now, if that makes sense. So NixOS is great. Like, I think NixOS has some really cool stuff. It's just not like, it's less than 1% of anything being used by the enterprise. So when I tell you guys, it would be like if you guys were like, hey, Scott, I really want to be a Windows admin somewhere. And I'm like, well, you know what you need to do is not use Windows. And most of you would be like, God, this guy's a fucking idiot. Well, it's the same thing. Like, if you told me, hey, Scott, should I spend time in like Red Hat or should I go do a bunch of these other obscure ones that nobody runs? I would tell you, for fun, go work in these. There's really good knowledge and stuff, but just the way that you get in the industry is playing the game that the industry plays. It would be like if you're like, hey, I want to get on a baseball team, and I'm like, well, how much baseball do you play? And you're like, well, none, but I'm really effing good at squash. And I'm like, I don't fucking think they care, man. And you're like, but I can throw a ball 120 miles an hour. And I'm like, yeah, but you refuse to learn the game of baseball. I don't care how fast you can throw a baseball. You refuse to learn, right? Anyway, I know. I'm not saying that's what you're saying. I'm just saying this looks awesome. This is probably a great tool and probably a good thing to go spend time with and have fun with in your hobbyist time. But for people that want to like get into the industry, you gotta probably go play with more of the streamline stuff. And I know the streamline stuff's not cool. I know it's not cool to come in a stream and say I use Arch Linux or I use Red Hat Linux. Nobody cares, but everybody wants to say they do Arch Linux, right? Anyway, so again, not shitting on anything because I think that's a great tool. I'm sure it's fun. It's just some people need to spend more time in these other things. That's kind of where I'm going with that. Look, and some people, they can context switch between NixOS and that OS and all these other things and Cube's OS and whatever very quickly, and that's fine. But I would say the average person needs to probably go spend time in the system that they want to get the job in. So probably, Steve, I would tell you 85% of stuff is Red Hat. 85% of like enterprise stuff is Red Hat or some Red Hat derivative. So like you didn't want to pay Red Hat, so you used CentOS for years. Now CentOS is no longer viable, but Rocky is, and Rocky is supported by CIQ. So I am currently on at least 5 government projects that are on Rocky Linux instead of Red Hat. Currently, right now, they're deploying brand new Rocky, not Red Hat. So I'm just telling you, like, yeah, Red Hat and Red Hat adjacent things are big right now. So yeah, and I'll tell you, like, Ubuntu and Debian work great. Ubuntu is also in like 2020. Ubuntu got approved in like federal projects. It was 2019 or 2020. I want to say it was 2020, where now I see Ubuntu on federal stuff. Because if you guys don't know, I do a fair amount of stuff for the federal government through different customers that I work with through my company. My company is Redline. I've told you guys that. Redline Performance Solutions. You guys go look them up. They do really good stuff. Pretty small company. We just do contracts and a bunch of different stuff for... I'm back working with NOAA, which is the National Oceanographic Atmospheric Agency. I always have to spell that out for you guys because this thing thinks I'm talking about like Noah from the Bible. But I'm talking about NOAA, the National Oceanographic Atmospheric Agency, NOAA, right? It always does that. NOAA. Yeah, Fedora is great too. I think Fedora is a good one. In fact, I've told you guys this before. Every time I've ever interacted with a Red Hat engineer, like an actual Red Hat engineer, not one of their salespeople, they have been on Fedora as their desktop. Every single one of them. I've never seen any other Linux OS for them. So Fedora is yeah, derivative. Yeah, it's probably Steve. Yeah, Fedora is it's just probably the most fleshed out of the um, desktop OSs in that vein. Like the Red Hat desktop, not I've never seen that used anywhere. Like I've never seen Red Hat used as a desktop, always as a server. I used to run. What did I use that when I was at Best Western back in the day? Probably, I think I had a Fedora desktop there too. Yeah. All right. So we're back here. I'm doing more checks. Hold on. Let me get back on this before the system logs me out. I need to look for Crony. So we're going to look for max pull from Crony, but I have an exception for Crony. So where's my time? Time servers. These servers do not reach out to network reach outside of network. This can be configured after acceptance. So I'm going to leave this open when I say something like this where it's failed, but even though it failed, it's still not resolved in some way, like with an exception or something. I'll leave this open, but with that note. So then I keep going down here, and this is the same. This is the same thing. So I suspect the next few may be like this. Yeah, because I can't do anything about this. I can turn off Crony in the environment, but that's not acceptable either because you do eventually need to be synced. Actually, let me go ahead and just check those just for fun. Let's go check this one real quick. Oops, script port. Boom. Port. Whoops. Yeah, there's nothing in there. Because Crony is not really used. All right. So let's go do some mod probe stuff. So we're going to look to make sure that we're not using this ATM, which is asynchronous transfer mode, which or grep bin false. Let's just grep ATM from all that. And command does not return any output. It's no good. But if it shows that we're blacklisting asynchronous transfer mode, then it's a pass. So this is pass. ATM blacklisted. Right, I can just say that. Boom. Not a finding. Good. What's our next one? We need to make sure that whatever CAN is, which is a controller area network, is also disabled. Yep. CAN is not there. Pass. I'm just going to say this is a pass. Boom, because we know it's not. All right. Next one. SCTP. We don't have stream control transmission protocol, transport layer protocol to do movement of data. We need to make sure that that's blacklisted so it can't be started, and it is. So I can say this is a pass. It is properly blacklisted, right? That's what we're saying there. All right. What's this next one? TICPC. I really wish that this thing would have found these, but oh, whoops. I didn't copy this. Huh. All right, there we go. Boom. This is a pass. Boom. Right. Oops. All right, what am I missing over here? 5 a.m. Let's sleep. Yeah, get some sleep if you haven't. You guys, appreciate you guys popping in and talking. It's good. Keeps people motivated. All right, where am I at here? This one is looking for Cram. Cram FS. Do we got the old Cram FS blacklisted? Yes, we do. Yep, we got it blacklisted. Can't install it. Can't run it. This is a pass. Right? Again, it was found open, but it was not open. And then Firewire, we got to make sure Firewire. But again, this is a skiff, so nobody should be plugging things into boxes directly. But Firewire core is blocked. So I'm going to say this is a pass. Boom. USB storage, well, that makes sense. Don't need that on a server. Yep, blacklisted. This is a pass. Oops. Boom. Not a finding. I imagine that's going to be true for almost all of these. All right, so we need to make sure that the firewall is there. So this, I like to do RPM QA grep-i for firewall. And it looks like firewall D is there, so I can just grab this and say firewall is installed. But then I got to trick up my sleeve for these other ones that are going to be around the configuration of the firewall. Oh, back to Bluetooth. All right, make sure Bluetooth is not allowed. Yep. Bluetooth. This is a pass. Boom. All right. Need to make sure that no. So we're back to these guys. Remember I was telling you guys these guys are going to be a hassle. Got a bug. Need someone to call. Good night. Nice. Yeah. This and guys. By the way, a lot of the stuff you're talking about, especially if I miss questions, I apologize. But a lot of stuff that you guys might ask me is really good to ask down in the Discord where people know that stuff and can answer even when I'm asleep at night. We got a lot of people that are engineers and doing security and all that kind of stuff too. Also, Leserbiska, I apologize for missing it. Thank you for the resubscription. You guys are the ones that keep me motivated here. So also then you get to not watch ads for like a month. So that's awesome. I appreciate you hanging out. I think you've made the community better by being here with us. So that's always good, right? Like it's one of the best things I think I can say about somebody is like the community is better that you're here with us, right? So, all right. So let me grab this next one, which is down here. Yeah, and Light, thanks for being here. We're just kind of hanging out. I'm not going anywhere just yet, but let me show you guys this. So this is interesting. I got to go look for dev SHM, and then I have to have on there a no exec. But this is my, like, you've activated my trap card. I don't need separate file systems because this is a device. We're not mounting dev SHM on a compute node, so not a finding. Boom. This one, it's going to be very similar. It's temp. So /TMP should be mounted with the no dev option. Sure, absolutely, 100%. Unless you're on a node that's this is a compute node, so no separate file systems unless it's on local on-node file system. So this system is not an on-node file system. It's a stateless node. So boom. And then let's keep going. Whoops, let's go to here. And then next thing for temp with no SUID, get out of here. Temp is not going to be a problem. No SUID on temp. Nope. Not a finding. var log, no dev, not a finding because we're not going to be on a separate file system. Var log with the no SUID, again, not a finding because there's going to be like 80 of these. Var log with the no exec, that would be wonderful, but we don't care. Var log audit, don't care. Literally don't care. All right, varlog audit with no SUID, don't care. So this is one of these things you start to see these patterns. Varlog audit with no exec, which means that you can't execute files that are dropped in there for security reasons. FA policy. There's going to be more of those later, but now they get to FA policy D, and we're going to check to see if FA policy is on our system. So RPM QA, grep-i, FA policy. So FA policy D is there. And I'm going to say installed pass, right? So this is a pass, right? And then I'm going to close that down. But then in these next ones, it's going to say, okay, firewall D must be on, right? But here's the thing. We'll check this one, the firewall D conf. And then system. All right. NFT tables set with firewall backend. Then if it's not set, that's a fail. So we'll say this is, it is there. So this is pass, right? Boom, pass. Not a finding. All right. Rel 8 must force frequent session key renegotiation for SSH connections. And we come down here and we can look at this. And then the rate key limit should be whatever the setting is. Let's see if that's correct. And it says that, yep, there is a rekey limit. And if it says it's not, it'll give us findings. So then it says, oh, this is busted. And I say, nope, this is a pass. When I did the command, that's the output I got. So that is a pass. This is one of these things, again, this is the one thing that I can say is not very great about the scanning tool that I use. I use the SCC scanning tool for this. Hey, Bottleneck, how's it going? The scanning tool that I use for this is not great. Look at all these things that it's left me to check by myself. And you guys have watched me, some of you guys that have been around, you've watched me take this score over here on the left, this little score where my hand's moving, my mouse is moving. You guys should be able to see that. From like 34 up to 53 now, just by doing these checks, just by manually going and validating, no, that is correct. No, that is correct. No, that is correct. Hey, I can't even say that name on the YouTube side. I'm just going to call you Shari. Hopefully this stuff's useful to you. Thanks for saying hello. I'm just kind of co-working right now. And in my co-working, I'm not working too hard. Well, maybe I am working hard, but I'm not working too hard. All right. This one says IPv6 accepts redirects. So right here, this thing should say the value of 0. If it does not return a line of 0, then that's a problem. So on the system that I'm on, I'm going to say this is a pass. Boom. Redirects for IPv6, set. Next one. sysctl IPv4 send all redirects should come back with a 0. And it does. So I'm going to grab that and say, and then they're going to look through to make sure that it's there, but I actually have this set correctly in, yeah, I don't know why these are failing, but this is, oops, I'm going to put that so they know there's space. This is, say pass. Boom. Right click. Not a finding. And then again, we're getting up to 53.95. So this is the number we want to keep going up over here. And slowly this is becoming more and more green because we're passing these things that were failures. We were right about here, I think. All right. So we need to behave a certain way with sysctl IPv4 echo requests broadcast. It needs to be at 1. And we do have that as a pass. I actually wrote a file that does all these, so I knew that these were all going to be a pass. But it's funny, this is a pass. It's funny that the checks weren't finding them, right? Wasn't finding them correctly. IPv6 source route packets. And again, I'm manually checking these on each machine now. Well, on the one machine that's based, the template is all, I built one template, right? Like, you got to make your life easier in some ways as an engineer. So I built this with an automated process, and then I pushed it to all my nodes. And now I'm just validating this is a pass. right? This is a pass. That's what I expect. I'm looking at the actual system and giving the finding details to show that we have passed in whatever way. All right. This next one is sysctl IPv6 accept source route. We're not even using IPv6, but I'm still going to be able to say that this is a pass. This is, right, this is a pass. Right click, not a finding, jump us almost to 55. All right. More, again, I wrote the fix for all this a long time ago. I'm just going through and cleaning up my system now. All right. Or I'm cleaning up my documentation. This is a pass to be able to give to an ISSO, which is an Information System Security Officer, on whatever government project. Actually, it's funny, my company's kind of well known within the different circles that we work in, and we got sent over this contract from a customer that had bought some stuff from Dell, and then Dell was like, hey, this is the way that you guys set it up, but do you want to like kind of go with this way that we're doing all these other systems? And they're like, yeah, who knows how to do that? And they're like, call these guys. And then what these guys are is obviously my company Redline, and then I'm the guy who does all the I do all the security stuff for the most part. Hey Canby, how's it going? By the way, this process you guys are watching me doing, some of you are going to be doing it if you take the security course. Not on these systems, you're going to do it on a different set of systems that I have for you. But if this looks not fun or tedious or slow, welcome to the security party, pal, right? And if you don't get that reference, go watch Die Hard. All right, this is a pass. All right, this is a pass. Boom. And this is one of these things, and like, even though I'm kind of going fast, it's attention to detail. You have to make sure that what you're checking and what you're reporting is correct. Because if you give somebody a bad, you give somebody something to go dig in further and further on, they're going to gig you on everything. So it's just like, I'd rather be accurate from the get-go than have to explain myself later for multiple things being wrong, if that kind of makes sense. And it's a certain, amount of, also I think kind of a little bit of pride in your work for some of this. Like, just make sure your stuff works, right? Make sure your stuff's good. Make sure that when I click this, I send out the redirects are 0. This is a pass. Don't let them come and find something wrong and then start digging in and finding out that you have crap all over the place wrong. That's not good engineering, right? I want to know that my stuff is good. Right, so I wrote all this stuff again a few weeks back, and then I have a copy of it. Oops, pass. So then my checks are just really me coming through here and clicking the buttons that I already know are hopefully going to be good. They should be good because I fixed all this already. All right, so kernel, if this one doesn't pass, we'll see. No, it did. But if this didn't pass, I actually have an exception for eBPF or BPF type stuff. So I'm going to add that. This is a pass. Right? And it says if the line does not have value 1 or something else is returned, this is a finding. So this is not a finding. Boom. ptrace, this is another one. I can skip this one if I want to because of my actual system. So this one says if this one does not have a value of 1 or this line is returned, it's a failure. But they activated my trap card, right? I'm just kidding. This one is, where's it at? So ptrace, look at this. So configuration files are present to enable this parameter. What does ptrace do? To restrict the usage of ptrace to descendant processes, add the following line, right? Ptrace scope. I have purposely left this one out. Let me go make sure that I'm being accurate on that. I should be. Hold on. I got it in my notes over here. Oh, interesting. I did set that to 1. So why did that one not get taken? This is an interesting little. I did set this to 1, so this is still set to 0 though. I wonder why. Let me go look here. All right. Well, on the plus side, I have a thing about this one, and right here. So I'm going to pull all these out. These are all these other ones. And this is no page poison or slub, debug kernel settings, security settings. So ptrace is also one of these kernel security type settings that cause performance issues on these nodes, or can cause them. So I'm just going to say it's not a finding, because it's not, in that it could cause other problems. So let's see this. Max user namespaces. That's set to 0. So that is correct. So come down here. This is a pass. Again, I don't know why that ptrace wasn't taken, because I did try to set it, but since it didn't pass, that's fine with me. All right, this one's interesting. This one says X11, and we are not using, X11 is unused in this cluster. So let's go do this check anyways, just to see. Because, yeah, X11 forwarding is no. But also, so this is a pass. And X11 is not used in this cluster, so I could have also said that as well. The requirement to join the security course, will it be paid? Alex, there is no requirement to join the security course, and you do not have to pay anything for it. So no, in our Discord, right? So let me link Discord for you guys. Discord. We are starting on the 22nd of March. We're going to start a Linux Systems Administration course, and then we're going to do a Linux Systems Security course as well. So it'll be security engineering, and we're going to focus on hardening Linux on this first run. No, it's not going to cost anything, Alex. Anything in the Discord is always free. So no, you can just come and hang out and talk shop with everybody. My goal, I tell you guys all the time, I've been trying to train the engineer that knocks me off my top position for a long time. I just want to get knocked off being the team lead, so I can just go retire somewhere quietly. That's like the most arrogant thing I can ever say. I know. I'm just kidding. But the point is, I want you guys to know that you guys can come and do this stuff and be professionals and make, frankly, really good money for just playing around in computer systems. Like, you guys don't think like all this stuff that I've been doing right here is just me playing around in computer systems. Literally, that's all I'm doing. Just playing around in computer systems. Like, that's it. That's it. Just and then this, you guys are watching me report out the stuff that I played around inside of the computer system with. This is a pass. Pass. Right? Boom. So, like, I mean, this is just, better stuff. All right, this one's going to be tricky. So we're going to go look for this GSS product. But no, hopefully that answers the question. If you find something in Discord, like in the events, and you want to go join it, you can join that always, no matter what. The only people that can make events on our Discord are people who know, like, these need to be open for everybody, In fact, there's one coming up actually right at noon. So coming up right here in a few minutes is going to be the White Writers Group. And they're the ones that are building this out for us. So you guys that have seen, like, our Linux course, our Linux Systems Administration course, they've been building this book right here. So this book is, I think it's down to Unit 3, and they're trying to get more of it done. I think they want to have the whole book done by the time. This is a free book right here. Any of you guys want our free book? It's right here. And this is the Linux Systems Administration course right here. Right? That's it. And just go find yourself the right page. Also, there's you can change the color right here. So you can change the theme to any theme you guys like. Noon in, well, my time zone, which is in 30 minutes. That brings up a good question about, like, the time zones and stuff. Whatever you see in Discord is always accurate to your time zone. So if you were to go look right now and it's like almost midnight, it will be midnight your time is when it starts, but that's what it'll say in Discord. So, for me, it's noon. It'll start in 30 minutes. But for the rest of you, maybe you're some other part of the world, it'll be in your time zone. All right, there we go. All right, I'll turn that back on. Let me get back in my system. I got to finish this up. I want to grab these. What was this one? This one was the GSS proxy. So I got a RPM-QA GSS proxy. And it says is not documented. So if GSS proxy is installed and is not documented, so then it's a finding. So I'm going to come down here and say GSS proxy is installed. This is a required package for NFS. Therefore, it is not a finding as it is needed in the system. Right? This thing says right here, if GSS proxy is installed and is not documented as an official operational requirement, this is a finding. So this is an operational requirement. Therefore, I can say not a finding. Right? It's and you say, well, how do you document it with the information system security officer? This is this STIG viewer that I'm building right here. This is my documentation for the project. Does that make sense? Like, it's government stuff, but it's also just this is my man. Look at all these fucking God. I got to go check all these. These have not been touched at all. These NRs are not reviewed at all. So the scanner didn't even scan them. So anyways, I'm gonna get down here. Look, we're almost to 60%. This came out of the box at 87. So I feel like what it did was it said 87, and then when I pulled it out and it was only 34, and it like completely deflated me. I was like, God damn them. Now I'm just checking things that I knew were accurate, and then these will be all fine or whatever. Alex said, I'm best teacher, have a fan for 1.5 years, and administration skills have improved. Your consistency is what I cannot imagine. Yeah, Alex, you can do this stuff, man. Here's the thing, right? Like, you guys got to remember, but before I even got into this professionally all those years ago, I did this stuff for fun. This stuff is fun to me. And that's like a big part of our professional links users group is like, we do this stuff for fun. Oh, and we can also do it professionally and make really good money. And that's what like the Linux sysadmin course is to show you guys that are already doing this and already like, look, I can't make you guys like command line. Just so you guys know, like there's none of you that like, are gonna for sure like love. I can't make you love command line, but if you already love command line, I can help you get this stuff and get into the jobs and stuff. So yeah, Alex, you're always welcome to hang out. I appreciate you guys hanging around and liking this stuff. It's actually funny if you ever go look me up on like ratemyprofessor.com, right? Because I'm a college professor. You'll find one. I think I've got a 1 number 5, which is the best, and like 1 number 1 from a student that absolutely effing hated me. I should start sending you guys over there to have you guys give me good reviews on Rate My Professor. No, I think you actually have to be in one of my college classes to do that, but it's really funny. So, Shadow, you said GRC or pen test. I don't really work in either of those, but I do work with both of those. So, guys, if you don't know, GRC is governance, risk, and compliance. That's what I'm doing this stuff here for. I'm doing GRC as far as getting one of my customers through their... The story goes like this. This customer needed something. They didn't have the systems in the state they wanted, so they went to Dell and said, Dell, will you give us the guys who can do this? And they said, yeah, the guys we use are Redline, which is my company that I work for. And they said, okay, Redline, can you do all this for us? And also, can you secure it and make it look nice and make it pass audit and stuff? So I'm kind of on the GRC side of this. I'm passing an ISSO audit, information system security audit. However, we also built this whole system for these guys. So now I'm just going through, and I've already hardened it. I'm just going through and checking my stuff. Yeah. Well, Alex, that's the thing. Yeah. Rule number 1. Yeah, I can't make you love the command line, but if you do love command line, I can hopefully help you make you do it for people professionally. Yeah. That could be a good rule there. Yeah, rule number 1, you got to love it. I had a drill sergeant when I was in the Army. I was in the infantry, right? So there's one goal of the infantry. That's to kill people and break stuff. That's the only 2 things you have to really do. But it's one goal because it's really just breaking stuff and people are stuff. Anyways, that's neither here nor there. But there was a drill sergeant that used to always walk around and say, you either love it or you hate it, private. That's what he used to tell everybody. And it's funny because it's true. you can either love this stuff or hate it, but like, I mean, in the military, you're stuck doing it, so you might as well just like. That's one of the reasons I don't complain about anything. My boss can throw literally any work at me, and even if I hate it, I'm not going to complain. And the reason is because I got to do the shit anyways, you know. Like, I learned that was one of the skills I learned in the army is like I will just suck it up and do whatever. Dude, I remember we were in Iraq like moving fucking like sandbags off of trucks and stuff, and I'm like, why the hell are we doing this? They're just gonna put them back on tomorrow, you know. But it was like, I'm not gonna complain because you know what? It was gonna get done whether I complained or not, right? Like I was gonna have to do it. there was no not doing it. I was an infantry guy. Like if there's nothing to break or kill, it's time to do the other job of the infantry, which is strong back, weak mind, right? Anyways, all right. Enough of the military stuff. Let's keep going here. We need to look for these values here. We're gonna grep. We don't need sudo. We're already root. We never leave root. And it says that we need target, password, root, and run as password. Good. Boom. So now I'm gonna come down here and I'm gonna say this is a pass. Again, whoops. I'm gonna put it here and then say this is a pass. And then I'm going to right click and say not a finding. And then again, our score goes higher, guys. Shadow Horizon, trying to learn more about command line so I can conduct VA or VAPT for ISO 2701 using tools available or manual checks. Yeah, Shadow, you will find you'll find a lot of stuff in our Discord, but for me, a lot of this stuff is I kind of fell into it. Stigs are open source. Well, they're through the government, so you can get a hold of them. The U.S. government, the DISA Stigs, and then the DISA Stigs are DISA. Maybe I'm just not saying that right. DISA, yeah. The DISA Stigs are available for you guys out there. And then what I do is I apply them to a system, I harden it, make sure I still have functionality, and it's kind of like a dance back and forth. And then when that dance is all done, I've got this hardened system, and then I'm preparing my report right here. I already knew a lot of these should have already been good, but I'm now coming through and validating them for basically for my documentation. This is all going to be turned in, right? This kind of stuff. So I come down here and I say, this is a pass. So there's my finding, and then my comment, this is a pass. Boom. And then I can change that over to a not a finding. And we're almost going to get to 60. I do have to drop off of here soon. But when I drop off here, there's two things I would tell you. One, if you guys want, go hop down into our Discord, and they're going to be working in there. So if you want to go talk shop with some of our guys in our Discord, you can do that. And then also, I've got a meeting later down in the Discord. Anybody's welcome to come and hang out. I'm going to do kind of like a state of the... We're going to do it like an operational meeting. If you guys have never seen like an operational state of like the system, state of the cluster, just reporting on what's going on in the system, what kind of errors we have, like all that kind of stuff. That'll be a good thing for people to come in and see how like an operational team will run stuff. Depending on how busy I am with college students for the next couple hours, that may be very like me just building it on the fly, but I think it would still be valuable for some of you guys to see. All right, this one can't work because we don't have var temp on a file system, on a separate file system. So I'm going to come down here and I'm going to grab my HPC stig for this one and say this is a stig exception because we don't have them on separate file systems. So this is not a finding. This one is going to be, remember I told you guys these were going to keep popping up. This one says we need to have audit D system enabled. So let's go look. It is active, and if it is not active and running, then this is a finding. And is it enabled? It is. So I'm going to run this and then say head and this is enabled. So I can drop it there and I can say this is enabled and running, pass. Boom. Right, that's all you have to say. If you've got the finding that shows that the thing as an audit service is enabled and running, you're good. Running is right there. You know, you got a process ID for something, you're good. All right, so that's done. And then I'm going to go to the firewall must be active. So there's a problem with firewall. Status firewall D. We do not have the firewall on. But we have a HPC STIG that we typically ask for, and it's right here. All these other ones are just noise. Right there. No IP tables or firewall. Whoops. No IP tables or firewall D, so I'm going to say that that's not a finding. And then this next one is BPF, the Berkeley packet filter in this case, needs to be set. I think I have this set, but let's go see. Yep, I do have this set. So boom. Come down here. This is a pass. Again, you might say, well, that scanner really was off on a lot of stuff. Yeah, because the scanner looks for all these other things, but at the end of the day, what is valid and accurate is, do you have these things? Like this one shows as open because the scanner thinks it failed, but I'll show you why here in a second the scanner thinks this failed. Right here. It failed because this one's commented, but it's not commented. Right? There's a commented version that failed it, but there's a non-commented version. So this, in actuality, this is a pass. This would be a type 1 failure, right? A false positive for a failure. For the failure, it's false positive. All right. SSH algorithms. Now, we're going to have some failures on these, but here's the thing. It's FIPS only, and we have a FIPS exception, so I'm going to go look and see if this is accurate, but I have a feeling it's not going to be. Yeah, it found all these other ones. If there's all these things up here, and then we don't want all those extra ones. So we actually want to shorten this down. I'm going to leave that open for now. I'm going to have to probably go fix that in my base system, because here the finding, that's going to remain open. We'll just leave it at that. And then must terminate idle sessions. Let's go see. Oh, well, I know this one's working. It's been kicking me out of idle sessions. So this one says stop idle sections at 600 seconds. This is a finding, and it's 10 seconds. We're gonna say this is set, but is set at 15 minutes, not 10 minutes. This is not a security, but rather a documentation issue at that point. So this is a not a finding, right? This is not a finding, but it's not a finding because it's a security. So this is one of these things where, guys, this is where security will argue with operations teams. The letter of the law says it must be 10 minutes. But the spirit of this law, and what I mean by the spirit of the law is, why did they pick 10 minutes? Well, they picked 10 minutes because in good practice, idle sessions should drop. That's true. But if we understand that idle sessions will drop, the 600 seconds becomes what we call an operational question now, an operational requirement, right? Like, if my team is okay with it being set at 15 minutes, but we're still following the hard law that there is a session stop idle timeout, that's fine. Does that kind of make sense? Master of my fate, you said, what am I working on? We're just doing system stuff here, cleaning up. And now we're down into the NRs, and we're 59.94, so we're very, very, very close to hitting that 60. Let's see if we can just get to 60 real quick. This says everything must be patched and up to date. I'm going to actually leave this and say, okay, so it checked, right? It should come down here, and install the operating system patches or update. So the system is frozen during install and acceptance. This can be checked. This can be updated again after the install, right? And so then I come over here and I say yum history in the window you guys don't see, and in yum history I can go grab all the things. Let's just say head. And I can say, here's all the things that we've done on this system, right? And then here, so there would be my rules. And then I'm going to leave this, so we leave these open, unfortunately. That one does have to stay open. Now, rel must display a standard banner for the system when you log into it, right? And it says right here that you can look for banner out of Etsy issue. Boom. And then that is valid. So I can say this is a pass, right? Because it's there, it's banner, Etsy issue, good, boom. But, got us over 60, good. Now, all remote access must be monitored, so we should have our syslog. But here's the thing, our syslog is not quite doing anything in our environment yet, but it will be. And it says that auth, priv, and daemon, auth, priv, and auth daemon must all be going. There we go. Are not configured to be logged. This is fine. So auth, priv, and daemon are all being. This is a pass, right? This thing couldn't test it, so that's why we had to go check it. So auth, priv, auth, and daemon are all good. So now we can say that's not a finding. Boom. And we push ourselves ever higher down our system, getting towards 90%, right? Again, the major rules that I follow for Stigs are I'm trying to get my score above 80 will get you on a government system. This customer wants above 90, so that's good. You can't have any Cat 1 that is not answered. So all of our Cat 1s are not a finding. See all these NFs right here? That's good. Cat 2s, you can't, okay, wait, sorry. Cat 1s must be answered, and we would best want them not a finding. That's the best. Cat 2s, every single thing must be answered. So you see how some of these I have not answered yet? I have to answer all of them. And then Cat 3s, well, Cat 3s are like the stepchildren. You just do whatever you want with them. Like they're the they don't get treated as well as the other two. Let's say if you got that's a reference to Cinderella. If you guys don't know, like remember she was the stepchild and she was treated very poorly. You should not treat your stepchildren badly. But that's also the point of the story too, right? Is all right. I'm not here to teach you guys about how to treat your kids, but this one talks about PKI certification. Well, you need to have this, right? And then you have to have the right values inside of there. But I get a bunch of errors, like there's nothing in there. So I get to go over to one of my exceptions and say that we're not doing PKI in this cluster, right? So there was no requirement in our case for PKI right here. So then I can say that this is not a finding because, yeah, we don't have those things, but we're also not doing those things. All right, this is, we could also go check these for each and every one of our private keys that are stored on the system. So verify the SSH private keys have a passcode. We have an exception for that, right? This is another one of these ones. Key phrases and passphrases for SSH is not necessarily a thing. I mean, look, if you can, there's probably like one or two places on planet Earth that ever need to probably do that, and this is not going to be one of them, right? All right. So, anyways, that's one of our exceptions, one of our standard exceptions. I'm going to say not a finding for that. All right. We must use SE Linux, right? But in my environment, SE status I have an exception for. So I'm going to put down here it's disabled, and then I'm going to come over here and say that I have a SE Linux disabled. There's a lot of reasons for that. I run SE Linux on some of my systems, and in some of the environments that's fine, but in this system it wasn't a requirement, so we're going to take it out. And by the way, so this is kind of funny. Sometimes your customers come to you, like this customer did, and they say, we don't know what we don't know, right? Like we don't even know what we should or shouldn't have, so we're going to ask you for your recommendations. So in our case, the recommendations kind of fall into, oh, I guess it's behind, so you guys can't see it anymore. But we've got these set of kind of standard exceptions that we use. So that's kind of that kind of thing, and that's what this is here. So all right, so then we go next one. Now, rel 8 must use, and you say Rel 8, yeah, well, they've got a requirement for Rel 8 on their system, so that's what we used. They must use FIPS 140-3 validated cryptographic hash algorithms, right? Now, this is another one of those ones that I can go search for these, but I'm already pretty sure that I'm going to have other ones, right? Because I don't think I touched these. So let's go look. Let's just grab for that. Oops, that came in as 2 different files. So let me grab this real quick. Hold on. Dash O max. Oh, that was my bad. I did only want that. All right, yeah, that's gonna find way more than we wanted. So I'm gonna leave this one open for now. Right, drops the score a little bit. OpenSSL package. OpenSSL must be the correct thing. And OpenSSL CNF config. Yep. So we can say that this is a pass. And we're going to go from 61.3 to 61.58. Nice. TLS with the GNU TLS. So now we're not using, so transport layer security, right? Whenever you hear the word TLS, TLS is your transport layer security, requires certificates to be exchanged between your systems. Therefore, you're using internally a PKI, public key infrastructure, and I have an exception for that. So when you're using TLS, which came from secure socket layer, right? TLS is the current standard, and you're trying to get a FIPS 140-2 or 140-3, what you need to do is make sure that you have the correct values in there. But for me, I'm not actually using that. So I could just call this an exception, but I'm going to say this is a pass, right? Because I do have that value. Right, boom, this is a pass. But also I could have said this is an exception. We don't even need this because we're not using PKI internally. So the way our clusters communicate is over an SSH connection instead. And then they actually have a separate connection over a tool called Munge, which is a very common. So Munge is the back-end communication for a tool called Slurm. Slurm is the kind of open source. It is an open source tool. I even have a lab on Killer Coda that shows you guys how to configure it. But the back-end communication between those is by this key exchange protocol Munge, right? It's super funny. You munge and unmunge to talk to things. That's so dumb. But it's M-U-N-G. M-U-N-G, munge. It's the dumbest thing. Oh, M-U-N-G-E. Yeah, sorry, there's an E on the end. All right. Anyways, let's go check this one. Aid is not required, but I'm going to make sure that it's there just in case. Yeah, so we don't have aid, but I have an exception for aid. And the reason I have an exception for aid is because it doesn't make any sense to run aid on a system that, again, comes up stateless each time. So no file integrity or aid in a cluster. So I'm going to hit not a finding, and I'm going to grab this because I might need it again. And then this one, they jumped me over to multi-factor authentication. All right, that's fine. Oh, we have we don't use SSSD. So SSSD is unused in this cluster. And you say, how do you know that? Well, right here they want me to check Etsy SSSD.conf. Well, I already know that's not going to work. So SSSD is unused in this cluster, and I can immediately say that's not a finding. Now, there's an argument here to be made, and you will get into this argument with GRC teams, and you will get into this argument with ISSOs, which are your information system security officers. But hold on, you won't really get in the argument. I'm just going to tell you, this is the argument in the industry. I should call this not a finding because I didn't find it and it's not there. But some people would say this is not applicable. So you might say, what's that little gray thing there? Like, what happens is green and red count against this score, but not applicable pushes the number of things that don't matter away from 367 down to like, well, in this case, it would make it one less. So like 366 are applicable. Well, so there's like there's a philosophical argument to be made here. Not a finding is it adds it to the score and helps me. So I do want it to be not a finding. Not applicable takes it out and makes it like a push, but it doesn't help my scoring, except that it took away one more thing that I had to get accurate, right? Or had to get correct. Hold on. But here's where the argument comes in. Over here in this wording, if it does not say anywhere right here in the STIG, if it does not say if SSSD is not there, this is not applicable, there are hardliners, because it's the way the rule is written, you can never say not applicable. So I'm happy as a pig in shit then, because I'm not using SSSD, so I can just say this isn't a finding. But other people would be like, well, that gives you a better score. And I say, well, but the letter of the law says. So anyways, my point is, that's the argument you're going to find if you're ever filling these out. Well, it's not applicable. We're not using that tool. In this case, look, I got to look for OpenSC. But OpenSC isn't being used in my system. But in this case, that means I get to pass because I have it. But I'm not using it, so I could have taken an exception. This is a pass, right? It's installed right there. OpenSC. Boom, right click, not a finding. All right. Anyways, I just need you guys to know that not a finding and not applicable do matter to your final score, but you're never supposed to put not applicable unless something truly says it can be not applicable. But some of us say, well, but it's not applicable to this system because this system doesn't have SSSD. So hardliners would say, well, then it's not a finding. And I would say, well, thank you then, because that actually pushes my numbers up higher. Because getting one more correct out of 367 is better than removing 367 and making it 366 with the same base number. And you guys can go play with that math if you want later. But all right, must clear the page allocator. So let's see. We are not using grub. So there's a page poison down here in our kernel versions, and I can't use grub. So I don't have to set this. Page poison is not set to 1 or finding because we're not using grub, right? But for fun, I'll cat etsy CMD line and proc CMD line, sorry, proc. And see if I have that in there. I'm pretty sure I don't. Yeah, I don't have that in there. So I'm going to go ahead and say that I've got an exception for that with grub. I'm going to say grub. This is a stateless node environment, so grub is unused. Damn it, I'll just copy this in case I need it again. But then I can say not a finding. Again, can't say not applicable because even though it's not applicable for that reason, it's not a finding. So must disable virtual syscalls, but again, grub. We can't do that in grub. Can't. It's not a finding. All right. Slab. We have a rule against this, but grub is not used in this, and also that's the slab page poisoning for performance issues. So I'm going to grab, I'll grab this, drop it right here, and then I'll say right here, all the way down to here, and then also right there. So no page poison or that, because again, it causes performance issues. So then with all that, I can say that's not a finding. All right, guys, I gotta go. I gotta go yell at my college students for a little bit. Cataphracto, thanks for coming by and giving a little heart. I can't stay too much longer though. I got to drop off of here, but I appreciate all you guys coming by and hanging out while we do some. This is security work, right? It's people think security work's all fun and hacker man stuff, but I'm telling you right now, I'm not sitting here in a darkened room with a hoodie on going, I'm in. I'm sitting here going, I'm keeping the next thing out. That's what I'm doing. So it's not nearly as fun as you might think. But I mean, it's it's fine work. It's good work. Pays well. But it's just something you got to spend some time with and get better at. So all right, I'm gonna find somebody to raid over on the Twitch side of things. Let's see if there's anybody to raid right now. Anybody I'm following that's doing anything fun out there. And if I can't find anybody to raid, then we will. Got all kinds of people on right now that I follow. Let's go raid over to. We'll go raid over to another science and technology guy. I like Obother, so we'll go say hi to him. We're doing all the Linux, so if you guys want to have a raid message, it's do all the Linux. For some of you guys, I'll see you in our chat here in a few hours down in the Discord. And the rest of you guys, I will see maybe tomorrow doing a bunch of labs. All right, take care, everybody.